Marketing is more important than ever in wealth management, and I'm joined by two experts who know how to stand out. Robert Sofia and Penny Phillips, thank you both for joining me today.
Thanks for having us.
Happy to be here.
Absolutely. So Penny, I want to start with you. You've had an incredible journey building Journey Strategic Wealth. Talk to me about that and how you've ultimately built a brand and what those crucial first steps are.
Sure. And as an RIA that markets both to advisors and clients, the one thing that we thought about when we launched Journey was how important it was to, number one, tell a story and have a story behind the brand, and connect that story through all parts of our marketing, meaning the stories that we tell the advisors as well as the stories that we tell the consumer. And so for us, name was critical. Journey, everything that we do is centered around not just the journey of the advisor ultimately going independent, that's usually why they come to us in the first place, but also the journey of the client throughout their life cycle or their business cycle if they're a business owner client. And so name was critical. Story, impact, purpose work behind that name was critical as well. The other thing that we thought a lot about is the language we are using and that we've put on our website and our marketing material reflective of the way the client wants to hear that message and the way the client talks to peers and other clients. So in other words, the language that we use shouldn't include rhetoric like comprehensive wealth management or comprehensive financial planning. We wanted to really translate what we do and why we do it in terms that really resonate with the client. So we spend a lot of time within our marketing material and videos that we use answering questions that clients have and ask themselves on a daily basis. And so we try to speak to the clients in a way that's conducive to the way they want to hear the information.
And Robert, you obviously have your finger on the pulse when it comes to branding and marketing in this industry, but what are some common myths and misconceptions when it comes to advisors and their marketing?
Yeah, often I see them being too conservative. That's one of the biggest things. We tend to be in a conservative, buttoned-up industry. If you look at the biggest financial institutions, their branding is very conservative. And so what advisors tend to do is copy what's out there from other successful firms, and so they end up looking like them. And I think that's two misconceptions. One is, I need to be more conservative because that's what my clients want. Then they don't stand out. And the other one is, I need to do what other companies do so I look respectable. And then again, they don't stand out. So that's really common. I think the other thing is too, they don't think enough about, to build on something Penny said, what I call the interest intersection. So there is a place where the advisor is interested, where they tend to stay. But there's another place where the clients are interested. And the really sweet spot is when you find that authentic crossroad between what the advisor is interested in and what resonates with them, so it's authentic, and what their clients really want to hear. And when they get that right, instead of just thinking too much about what they like, and they think more about what their audience likes, they get better results.
And Penny, your firm has obviously done that right, so to build off what Robert was saying, what's resonating with advisors and their clients?
Sure, so I think it's a couple things. The one thing, and I talk about this a lot, is it's really important for us to educate the clients about the difference between investment management and wealth management, which is what we do. So when we market to clients or put out content, we really want to encapsulate all the different things that we can do for people, all the different ways in which we can add value. And I found, just broadly speaking, the advisors that are able to articulate that difference are the ones who are thriving and growing and are not really impacted negatively by a pandemic. The other thing I'd say is being vulnerable and authentic has become so much more important in the marketing realm in our industry. I tell advisors all the time, if you want to be successful at marketing, you have to be willing to be vulnerable with clients about yourself and obviously be on video and be willing to be authentic.
And that can be, like you mentioned, that can kind of be scary for advisors to be vulnerable because, like you mentioned, it's a conservative industry at the end of the day, so how do you make that footprint and get people to ultimately remember you? It's whether it's your value proposition, and that's something I do want to talk about with both of you is, when it comes to firms' value propositions, are you seeing and are you encouraged, hopefully, by advisors laddering that up into their marketing, or is it kind of a backwards effect where it's, okay, we have marketing, it needs to match our value prop, it needs to match our values? What does that landscape look like?
You got to think about context. And to me, when it comes to marketing, everything is about context. For example, you don't market the same way to a client that you market to a prospect, but you do still market to clients to continue to reinforce the relationship. That's also a form of marketing. So if you think about a cold prospect versus a warmer prospect versus somebody who's ready to actually meet with you versus a client versus a longtime client or a new client, everything you do is going to be different. So your longtime clients don't need to keep hearing your value prop. They just need to know that you care about them and you're doing the good work for them. But prospects do at some point, but if they're coming to you brand new, fresh, they don't care about your value prop yet. They just care about the answer to some question that they have. So advisors will tend to say, well, like, I got to put my value prop on everything. I got to put my logo on everything. I got to like get my brand on everything. But the reality is, if they don't know you yet, they don't care about your brand, your value prop, how about you get out there and answer some questions that people are asking? And who cares what it looks like? You know, it should look more like something that they like, that resonates with them. Like, for example, if it's for technology entrepreneurs, why don't you make it look like something technology entrepreneurs would read? And then they get in, now you introduce them to your brand and your value prop. So it's all about context.
And what I'll add to that is, ultimately what you're doing is you are indirectly validating your value proposition by talking to clients about what they care about. So I'll give an example. First of all, I'll say in our business, value prop, purpose, and your EQ as an advisor is your value proposition. Tech is not a differentiator. We know that. Price is not a differentiator. Product or service isn't. It is you and what you offer. And when I read the value propositions of many firms out there, they often talk about, we listen deeply, right? We care more than anyone else about our clients. So what I ask advisors to think about is, how does that language, how does that value proposition permeate within your marketing, both to clients and prospects? If you're talking to prospects and answering the questions that they have on a daily basis, then indirectly you're proving that you are delivering on your value proposition. You listen. When I tell advisors all the time, think about how you can market that value proposition across the entire client spectrum, from the onboarding meeting to the client review meeting, et cetera, et cetera. So pull that value proposition within each of the experiences a prospect and client has with you.
This goes back to the interest intersection. Advisors, they care so much about their services and their technology stack and their brand, but you have to realize that's not what the consumer cares about. And so you really have to think about what is going to matter to them, and then determine the strategic way to introduce your value prop at the right time in more detail.
So last question, is there one trend maybe you're following in marketing for the next year or so in our industry? Is it new marketing technology? Is it, advisors using TikTok? What are you following, and what are you keeping your, what has your radar up a little bit?
Gosh, the TikTok one is funny. I'll just start with, and this is not just for the next year, this is a trend that's going to be critical for us for the next decade. Understanding client psychographics, more so even than demographics. In other words, how clients make decisions, who influences them, are they pessimists or optimists, how do they spend their time? Understanding these parts of a client's psyche are more and more critical. This is how larger organizations, and not just in our industry, by the way, are grabbing people's attention, because they know these underlying data points that, they're using really sophisticated technology to find out about the client or the prospect. What I tell advisors is, it's not difficult to understand the psychographic profile of a client. You engage with them all the time. So the one exercise I suggest advisors do is what I call a day in the life. Literally write out and list out your ideal client. What does a day in their life look like? When do they wake up? What do they do before they go to work? Who takes their kids to school? All these little detail points about a client inform so much about the way in which you can market to them and enhance the experience for them.
And I would add that if you think about where advisors are today mentally, I think you're going to see a trend where the most successful advisors are going to have a shift mentally in how they view technology, because this is such a people business. We know it's one-to-one relationships, and you have to earn that trust in that relationship. However, advisors tend to think, well, technology is like a secondary thing, it's a tool. But the reality is that technology can be an enabler of building stronger relationships at scale. So if you want to grow a firm, the best way to do that is to scale your advice, scale your communication, scale your relationships. Well, advisors aren't thinking about technology that way, but you can. The way that you're text messaging, the way that you're sending videos out, the way that you're emailing clients, and the way you make those things feel more personal and incorporate your own life or things you learn about the client through data enrichment, and then you can complement with AI. All of these things can make it so that you can be scaling relationships while you sleep. People think you're doing this one-to-one, but in reality, you're doing it one-to-many. And I think the more advisors embrace that, the bigger they're going to be able to grow, the more successful they'll be.
Well, absolutely right, because the power of branding is very real. Robert, Penny, thank you so much for your insights today.
Thank you, Shannon.
For Edge TV, I'm Shannon Rosic.